for this session. Yeah, I'm very happy that at least 9 of you showed up. I'm sure some of you are being invited in a way that Chong, the loudspeaker, have been bugging you all to attend, right? So I'm sure you noticed that I do some kind of teaser when I send reminders. So the first teaser I sent out was, do you know that this is the very essence of our Nanning business? I'm not sure whether all of you agree. I just throw it out there. For me, I truly believe that what we're going to share today by Mark is actually the very essence of our Nanning business. All right. So Mark is going to share all the details shortly. And the other thing is, I'm sure a lot of you, all right, very old and new, have been always asked this question by your new member or new prospect. Hey, what is your product? What service you give? I'm sure, right? A lot of times we cannot answer, or we answer in a very vague way and whatnot, right? But do you know that what we're going to share today is actually the very product and service that we are doing for our Nanning business? Okay. So Mark is going to go into the details of the economy. We're doing what we call an economy class in a way, back to roots, back to economic class, the very basic one, all right, which actually all of us experience it, whether we know it or not. Okay. So without further ado, with that, Mark, please take it away.
Thank you, Chong. Welcome, everyone. My name is Mark. If I tell you again, I'm making a remark. Let me give you a background of myself. Before I went into liver detox, I was actually a church pastor. Since 1989, I served as a full-time church pastor, and I retired in 2017. That was when Dr. Koh brought me to Nanning and fulfilled my dream of financial freedom. Okay, and retiring early to do marketplace ministry through liver detox. And before I became a pastor, or before I took theology to study as a pastor, I was a commerce student taking economics, management and accounting. So when Chong told me, hey, why don't you talk about trickle up, trickle down, trickle up, wow, suddenly I have to dig all my memory, to share. And then when I finished my army, I went straight into NUS and I studied arts. And one of my subject was economics, okay, history and political science. I wanted to be a teacher. Then later on, cut the long story short, I did not complete my study in NUS. I met a motorcycle accident and I went into theology to study as a pastor. So that's my background. So I'm actually, inside me, I am a businessman, okay? When I went up to the stage to share, I have a power of influence. I'm able to convince people about promoting something. So when I joined Nanning, I felt that I was able to harness my talents to influence people. So without further ado, this is what I'm going to share with you about trickle up or trickle down economics. And do you know that trickle down economics is actually founded in Reaganomics? Okay, the 4 pillars of Ronald Reagan's economic policy were to reduce the growth of government spending, reduce the federal income tax, capital tax gain, reduce government regulation, and tightening money supply in order to reduce inflation. And that is the result of Reaganomics. And the trickle-down economics or trickle-down theory states that the tax breaks and benefits for corporations and the wealthy will trickle down to everyone else. It argues that for income and capital gain tax breaks or other financial benefits to large businesses, investors, and entrepreneurs will stimulate economic growth. So that is the theory. So in other words, they cut taxes for the most wealthy. And because of the savings in profit, more profit, they will set up more companies. They will invest into factories so that they will employ more people, and more people, there will be increase in spending. That is the theory. Okay. So this is a chart to summarize. Because of tax breaks and incentives, the rich will gain more wealth. So what do? With the extra money, the rich will invest in more factories to create more jobs. Okay, and more jobs as a result, they have to hire low-skilled workers, and they will pay taxes, pay more taxes. They will benefit the government. So hopefully this will be a cycle. This is one side. On the other side, because they have more wealth after the tax breaks, they will have higher spending. They will spend more on luxury goods, or more goods, and these goods increase the demand for production, and as a result, more people are being hired. So there is more spending. They pay GST, so they will have increased revenue, and there will be a multiplier effect of increased spending. So that is the theory of trickle down economy. Okay, but in reality, does it work? So this theory says that tax cuts lead to extra wealth. Extra wealth leads to increased demand for goods and services, causing higher employment and increase in wages. Higher wages increase in multiplier effect, increase in spending in the local businesses, invest in new businesses, create more jobs, and increase in income. Higher spending and investment will stimulate economic activity, leading to a rise in tax revenues. So higher tax revenue can fund public programs such as healthcare, education, welfare to the poor. So it is a cycle. That is the theory, right? But in reality, does it work? Okay, they have done a study for so many years. And out of this range, trickle-down theory is deemed infeasible. Why? Trickle-down economics generally does not work because cutting taxes for the wealthy often does not translate into increased rate of employment, consumer spending, and government revenues in the long term. The trickle-down tax cuts have consistently failed to benefit working families. The past quarter century has tested the supply side theory that the top bracket tax cut would boost economic growth and jobs. But this theory has decidedly failed. So why is it fail? You ask the question. In theory, it sounds nice, but why does it fail? Because once taxes get low enough, cutting them will decrease revenue instead. Cuts worked during Ronald Reagan's time when he was a president, because the tax during that time was 70%. They have much weaker effect when tax rate are below 50%. So Reaganomics would not work today because tax rates are already low, okay, from historical levels of 70%. Now, what is the problem? Why trickle-down effect doesn't work? Look at this just now I shared with you, right? When they have tax breaks or government pump more money, print more money, and invest in the rich, instead of going into investment, the rich often invest in assets which push up prices and gain dividends to be reinvested. For example, they put their money into commodities. houses, real estates. Or what do? They funnel out into offshore tax havens to avoid tax. So what is left is actually very little. So this is the reality. You know, there was a financial crisis, a subprime crisis. President Bush, during his presidency, he coined this term called quantitative easing. That means they start printing money. So they put money into the banks. Okay, apparently the banks is supposed to lend out to corporations, and corporations supposed to invest, okay, in businesses, and then businesses start to hire people. That's how they plan to use this quantitative easing. So quantitative easing was actually a trickle down economics. Does it work? It didn't work. In fact, hot money instead went into Asia. That's why the property prices went up. Instead of investing, the banks dare not trust their own people because the sentiments were weak. Everybody dare not invest. Okay, when there's an economic crisis, would you spend or not? They will not spend. They rather keep. So the trickle down economics throughout the years, you can see 1979 to 2007. The rich become richer. You see the top 1%, you look at their wealth, okay, they become richer. And the top 20%, they also increase their wealth. What about the second 20%? They have a decline of their income. The third 20%, talking about the middle class, they also experience reduction in their income. What about the fourth, the low middle income? Worse. Bottom 20, worse. Look at that. So the trickle down economics, in theory, is supposed to be like this, right? You pour a wine glass, just like a wedding dinner, right? The wine glass is the same. You pour until it's full, and then when it's full, it trickles down. Everybody has equal distribution. So that's the theory from the start, but in reality, it's like this. Okay, the bottle is just so small and the cup is very big, so it doesn't trickle down. The wealthy are not spending, they're holding their money, or they are reinvesting in businesses or commodities or shares that does not produce productivity. There is no spending. It doesn't increase demand or supply. So trickle-down theory is good for all of us if a small group of people earn an enormous amount of money. Their wealth trickle down to the rest of us. That's their theory. So in reality, money is sucked up from all of us in the pockets of very small group of people. So the transfer of income and wealth is guaranteed by the design of our monetary system, but in reality, it doesn't. So what happened? You can see the rich become richer, the poor become poorer. In fact, in America, the rich seldom pay tax, or they pay very little tax. Why? Because they hire specialists to avoid tax. Whereas the poor, whatever they earn, they already pay tax in advance. And they do not hire specialists to go into that tax loophole to avoid tax. So it doesn't trickle down. Okay, the corporate profits are given to as dividends. They do not reinvest. And many of the corporations in America, what do? They want to cut costs. So they outsource it to India. They outsource it to China. Okay, but now they don't outsource to China anymore. They outsource to Indochina. They outsource to Indonesia. Have you discovered many of those call centers are managed by Indian Chinese and Filipinos. So they are very famous for call centers, but they are actually hired by a first world country like Singapore, America, to answer phone calls. That's why you sometimes find that, how come the accent so different? They are actually Indians and Filipinos. I'm not being racist, this is being real. So look at this. The money was all appropriated for the top in the hope that it would trickle down to the needy. Mr. Hoover didn't know that money trickle up. Give it to the people at the bottom, and people at the top will have it before night anyway. But it will at least have passed through the poor fellow's hands. So it's a very important point to take note. Once you realize that trickle-down economics does not work, you will see that excessive tax cuts for the rich, as what they are, a simple upward redistribution of income, rather than a way to make all of us richer, as we were told. Okay. Now, why is trickle-down economics popular in the first world countries? Since it doesn't work, why do they still use it? Okay, these are the few reasons. Number one, because the rich politicians want to be richer. Many of the politicians, they are actually owning big companies. Okay, like Bush, Donald Trump, or even Biden. They have their own family business. And whatever these policies they decide, they will benefit themselves first. So actually economics is, politics is actually very dirty. And election money is actually financed by the mega rich. So every politician will always say, I will cut tax to stimulate the economy. This is actually a facade. And because many of the first world countries like Europe and America, they are operating on a deficit government budget. Okay, what do? They will overspend. Okay, when they overspend instead of overspend, you know why they have government deficit? Because the rich supposed to pay tax, right? They don't pay tax, so there's not enough revenue. Okay, you can see in America, a lot of those infrastructures are in shambles. They don't have money to build. Okay, and huge government debt. They borrow money every year. They borrow money, so the money they owe is actually close to 30 trillion. Now, trickle-down economics is only effective in the ideal world when there is, number one, capital control. That means when the government give you tax cut, these tax cuts money, you cannot use it to invest in non-productive industry. You must spend it for expansion. If you regulate it this way, then it will work. Number two, trickle-down theory is only effective when the wealthy are being taxed equally. I think in Singapore, those who are rich, the top rich, they pay high taxes, and that is being fair. And number three, government run social enterprises. That means the tax collected, government operate social enterprises like Ntuc income. Okay, they run this to actually benefit the population. But US, the culture in the politics is like this. They have a free market economy. That means the government don't interfere with how the private organization run. In Hong Kong, it's the same. But Singapore is actually run by the government. A lot of things that make money, you can see the PAP government will have a hand in it. Tax incentive for investment in productive enterprises. It will work this way, okay? Okay, this trickle down economic mindset of the rich has also very bad effect. For example, they would like to send food aid or money aid to African countries. But in the end, none of the aid or very little aid goes into the hands of the people, because the money, the food has to be controlled by the hands of the elite politicians. And time again, you can see many corrupt politicians in Africa. They took the money and put it in their pocket. Okay, they didn't distribute. And worse, some of the African countries run by the military, they will take the aid and supply it to their army. And they also supply it to the black market to sell. And very little go to the people. So trickle down economics is not popular already. Then comes Youngonomics, okay, purported by Andrew Young, the trickle up theory. He says, when we put the money into our hands, we can build a trickle up economy from our people, our families, and our communities up. It will enable us to do the work that we want to do. So what to do? Instead of the government giving money to the rich, they give directly to the poor. And the poor with this money, they will spend on the household essential items. And the household essential items has to be manufactured. So factories have to hire more and more people. Okay, so when people have wages, they pay tax to the government. And government, with this tax money, give this money back to the people. Also, there will be a complete cycle of this trickle up economy. So trickle up economy is the way to go. As you can see, the flow of the product, okay, business make products, okay, for people to consume, okay, and then what happened? When people consume, you have to hire people, isn't it? So some of the consumers are also laborers. So they work for the company and company produce, and that will be a cycle. As you can see, they pay money to buy the product, and the money goes to the business, and business can pay the laborer, and laborer could be one of the family members. So it's very clear the circular movement of the trickle up economy. This is another way to look at it. When a person has money, it goes into many areas. Like for example, they will save money, they will invest, they will pay tax, they will buy things, or they will send money overseas. Okay, and the overseas money, then they receive. Okay, there will be exports to the business, and the business, when they have money, they will pay tax, and government will give them subsidy, and so on. These are the continuous flow. Okay, you put money in the bank, money through interest, will pay to the consumer. So when the business is thriving, they have to hire consumers to be laborers. So there is a cycle. Let's look at what our government is doing during this COVID-19. You have the solidarity payment, 600, care and support, 300 to 600. Okay, another 300 if you have parents. Passion card top up, 100. GST voucher, 480 to 800. Further GST voucher, okay. SCC rebate, solitary utilities rebate, workfare, GST, and grocery. Recently, we have what? We have a $100 voucher to visit tourist attraction. So we have no more tourists now. So we use, and we cannot go out to visit other countries. So what do? In fact, in December last month, my family and I made use of the $100 voucher to book a Fort Canning hotel for four of us, a family, 2 rooms each. So you can see the hotel industry start to have booming. And government put the money as a form of voucher. It's not in the form of cash, because when we give us cash, what happened? Some of us may buy unnecessary things, or we may hoard it. Now let's go into. So the question is, should government give us in NTUC voucher or in cash? I think it's very obvious, right? I already gave the answer. If you give it in cash, you will save it. Some of them will buy cigarettes, okay, or buy alcohol. But you give it in cash, in voucher, you will spend it. You have to spend it because there's an expiry date, where cash don't have an expiry date. So have you seen the latest news? Sheng Siong is going to give 15 or 16-month bonus to their employees. Isn't that powerful? Because their business is thriving. Okay, during COVID-19, some business thrived, some business fell. Okay, as a result, you can see the trickle-up economy that the government of Singapore believe in. Okay, one more thing is, let's translate into our Nanning. Is the Nanning platform a trickle down or trickle up? What do you think? This is open for question and answer. Any questions so far? Any comments from you? Actually, I talk very fast, I completed in less than half an hour. John, are you there or not? Are you still there?
Of course. I was paying full attention, Mark.
Okay.
How can I not pay attention?
So I like to have a participation from those who are listening. Do you see that the Nanning platform is a trickle down or trickle up?
Come on, everyone.
Okay, Mark, let me say something, Mark.
Yes, Dr. Koh.
Yeah, first of all, I have to congratulate you. This is a very, very clear, concise, and very easy to understand. So I was paying attention all the time. So thank you very much, Mark, for this very good talk.
Thank you, Dr. Koh.
As for how to compare the Nanning program, well, the money that we start with come from us, not from the government. Okay, unless the government receive from a trickle up from the Singapore government, and now we're using this money to invest to help the Chinese government. So it doesn't come from the Chinese government, it comes from Singapore government. So maybe the way, the similarity may be that our money is going not to the rich. Let's say we are the government, with this money, we are giving it for consumption. So we're helping the consumption business. We're also doing it for investment in businesses. So maybe part of it resemble the trickle up. But for the Chinese government, it is like a foreign fund coming to help them to do the trickle up. Okay, so that's why we actually very pro the government, and we are saying we are representing in a way the government, the China government, to bring funds from overseas to help the government to do a trickle up. Maybe we can put it that way. Okay.
Okay, that's a very concise answer. What about Chak Wai? Chuck White is has unmuted. Maybe you have something to say.
Chuck White got to speak louder, then he can hear. Chuck White, can you hear us, Chuck White?
No, he doesn't plan to speak.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was the question about? Sorry.
Do you think that the non-link platform is a trickle down or trickle up?
I would think we trickle up lah. You know, you put money there, then you spend to the to all the you got dinner, your hotel, so you trickle up. Yeah.
Okay, you mentioned two things. When we are in non-link, right? We have dinner. Okay, so restaurants have to be open, right, to cater for our gastronomical need. And then hotel, right? You mentioned hotel.
Yeah.
Hotel have to be open for those people who are there, right? What else? When we are in non-link, what do we do?
Well, you go and enjoy a massage.
Massage parlors. Yes.
Yeah.
They have to hire more local people. They can't hire foreigners. By the way, China don't hire foreigners to do all this. Only Singapore hire foreigners.
Yeah,
China
also
welcome foreigners to spend. All right.
Then of course you go and rent an apartment. Then the landlord got money to spend.
Yeah, landlord got money. Okay, to invest in property, and then they also pay tax to the government, right? So the masseuse, they earn money, they also pay tax to the government. The hotel, they earn money, they pay tax to the government. So it's trickle up to the government, you know. So government, how do they trickle down? The government built infrastructures like high-speed rail. Okay, the subway, the MRT. The government also, by the way, the banks actually benefit a lot because whenever we 打钱, we cannot distribute immediately. We have to wait for 14 days. Okay, then this money is actually a multiplier effect. If you study banking laws or practices, whatever money you put in $1, they multiply 10 times or 9 times. They call it factoring. Okay, that's how bank produce money. Every dollar we put in, the money, the bank can lend out 9 times. So how the infrastructure in China, the skyscrapers are being built is because we put money in the bank for 14 days. Okay, these 14 days is being taken out, but not everybody will take out all the money. And some of us will buy property. And when we buy property, what happened? We are also putting money back. So actually, we did not see money coming out. Actually, it is a digital redistribution of money. Because right nowadays in China, by the way, I've been in China for so many months, okay, in a year. Don't have to bring cash, we use WeChat, Alipay, so the money comes into your digital wallet, it goes out into the digital wallet. There's no money transaction, literal money transaction, but you can see the economy is booming. Okay, by the way, you can see America is falling. America is actually going to be a poor country very soon. America economy is actually propped up by the demand for US dollars. America is the only country that can print money and get away with it. No country can print money and not have hyperinflation except US. Because the whole world demands money, US money, because it ties with the petrol money. So if you study the conspiracy theory, the foreign minister or the Secretary of State, Kissinger, he went to Saudi Arabia and talked to the king. he said, please sell your oil using US money. But in turn, I will supply you arms to protect your oil field. So as a result, there is this understanding. Until today, Saudi Arabia can get away with all crimes, all human rights violation, but America will not touch them. Whereas other countries, if they violate one human right, America will come out hard on them. So a lot of double standard there. So Gaddafi, Saddam Hussein, countries like Tunisia and Syria, if they want to sell oil using gold dinar, America will send troops or supply weapons to the rebels to overthrow their government. Whereas China is sending money to buy hearts, America is sending weapons to inculcate fear. I don't know whether I will get arrested or not, Zhong, if I talk like that. But let me tell you, this is the reality. China is buying oil field in Africa, iron mine, all the resources. And recently I heard that the Brazil president is kissing the feet of Xi Jinping in a metaphoric way, because only China will listen to the third world countries' plea to supply vaccines. And by the way, China vaccines are safer than American vaccines. Why? Because American vaccines, once you inject, I don't know whether Dr. Koh can correct me if I'm wrong, it will alter your DNA. Whereas China vaccine is actually an inactivated virus for you to increase your immune system. So if you ask me, what kind of vaccine would I take? I will take the China vaccine. Dr. Koh, what do you think?
Yeah, I think you're correct, Mark. I think the China's vaccine is the normal way of making a vaccine. They take a part of the actual virus, so it's from the virus, and it's not synthetic. Whereas the stage one, they are from synthetic that induce the DNA to produce the what we call the messenger RNA, which is a protein that is very similar to the COVID. It's a spike, the spike that will fit into the receptor of the immune cells. I think you're right. I just want to say a few things about this trigger. I really find it very interesting. You provoke thoughts in my mind. I think there may be some untoward effects of a trigger up. Okay, and I say this because when I was in England, that was during the 1980s. They have essentially some form of trickle up economy in that they give social welfare to the people who cannot find employment. So it's to help them while they cannot find employment. And I know for a fact a lot of people take advantage of this this grant from the government. They become lazy, all right? They pretend they cannot find a job. So you can have people who want to exploit it. So that's one thing that can happen if you want to give money to the poor, because you have to define who are the poor, all right? And the poor, like any human being, if they have a chance to exploit it, if they have a chance not to work, they will not work, right? They will not work hard, so that may affect the company's performance and productivity. So that's one point. The other point in Nanning, I heard this from the people locally when I was in one of the malls. This fellow told me he was very angry. He said, all these new condominium that's been built, they all go to foreigners. They go all to people from Hong Kong, from Taiwan, and also people from other parts of China. He said, as a result, they drive the price of real estate up all the way. So it becomes more expensive for them to find their accommodation. So there's an effect that it can be a cause of inflation. So it depends on how it's handled and who you give this money to trigger it up.
Okay, Dr. Koh, let me respond to what you have said. I think you are right. Because Shenzhen and Shanghai, the economy is actually driven mainly by people from Hong Kong and people from Singapore, those aspects, But Nanning is different. Nanning, the government is very smart. They devised this program, which is a closed program. This trickle up to build the city of Nanning is very effective for a developing city. Okay, a city that has not reached saturation point, where you attract people to congregate in this city. As you can see, those who were in Nanning 5 or 10 years ago, Nanning was actually a different place. They say it's a place where the birds would hardly go to lay eggs, right? It's a common saying. But right now, you can look at Nanning. It's a very different city now. After 10 years, you can see the effect of the trickle up policy. Now, for more than a year, I would say almost a year, almost no foreigners go to Nanning. But yet Nanning is still prospering. Why? Because when the government adopted this policy, the foreigners go there for only 1 week, a month, or maybe more. But in order to prop up the supply to meet the foreigners' demand, people from the rural areas, the not so rich province and cities, will congregate in Nanning to build their business. So right now you can look at Nanning. Without foreigners, the city is still thriving. Okay. I've just watched a video. Wow, the city is really, really lively. So trickle up economy is the way to go to raise the economic level, to redistribute wealth. I also understand that many of those old birds, they call it our seniors, who joined the Nanning platform. Many of them, before they joined, they were having financial problems. They were in debt. Some of them are in near bankruptcy. But because they joined this program, they are able to find wealth, okay, through this incentivized recruitment program. And through this incentivized way to recruit people, they are able to overcome their debt. And not only that, they are able to bring more of their friends and family members to gain from from this platform as well. Okay. Another sideline is, besides this Nanning platform, there's also a secondary trickle up effect. What is the secondary trickle up effect of this Nanning project is? And when we come back to Singapore, we are able to form networks. Those who join our program, you can see our platform. We join a platform where close more than 1,500 people in Telegram. We are able to network with each other. We are able to collaborate with from those people of different trades and businesses. With that in mind, I'd like to thank Dr. Koh, because Dr. Koh brought me to Nanning and brought me to be in this network. So as a result, many of my detox clients are from this Nanning platform. And from this Nanning platform, I got to know Justina. Justina also introduced me to many of her clients who are her customers for renovation business, and they also do detox. And from her clients, they also introduced me to their clients. So this is one web that will develop. And the second web from another Nanning member. So there are actually many spider webs of network that has been developed. So besides this Nanning platform, we have also a spiral and multiplier effect that bring me to a higher level of economic gain. Like I mentioned earlier, since I cannot go to Nanning now, I concentrate on Singapore. And a lot of people in the past I know, they went to Koh Samui for detox. Now nobody can go Koh Samui for detox. So a lot of Koh Samui detox alumni, they suddenly know that, hey, Mark Chan, there is a DIY liver detox program. So all the DIY, all the Koh Samui clients, alumni, they start to contact me. And from then on, it springboard to another spiral multiplier effect. So all because of Nanning. Okay, I have never seen so many entrepreneurs in Nanning. When I go Nanning, Singapore entrepreneurs. In Singapore, I will never have a chance to meet 1,500 people. It's only in this platform when we come back to Singapore, then we have affinity, a camaraderie. I will not know Chong in a deeper way because I just know him superficially. But in Nanning, he became my close partner, and he called me senior boss. Can you imagine? I never self-proclaimed this title for myself. So I would say it's a great blessing. What Dr. Koh has initiated, it just takes a spark to get the fire going. It ignites unimaginable possibilities for everybody to go into this business. Anyone want to second that?
Yeah.
I'd like to make a comment on what Mark has just said, but I think he said something that is served as an example. I know we have all been talking that the Nanning business has got two pots of gold. The first pot of gold is what we all been very focused on, and the second pot of gold supposed to be a bigger pot. It's something most of us still leave it empty. But Mark has been developing the second pot of gold, and has been successful in that second pot of gold, and able to appreciate the Nanning community even better than us, because he has found that it has helped him a lot in doing the business of Nanning business as well as his liver detox business. So that's good. But just for the point of argument, Mark, I want to bring you back to your trickle up. I find it very interesting. And whether we are really the trickle up or not, okay? Because when you were using the Andrew Young's example of the trickle up, we have to start with the government. Instead of imposing low tax to the rich, we give sort of free dividends to the poor. And we got to define what is the poor. And from there, it builds up the economy and builds up the assets, the business assets correctly. What these business assets are functioning as agents for bring employment. So we start with the government, but in the Nanning program, we didn't start with the government. We start actually with investors. So we actually, maybe we can consider ourselves part of the rich. We are part of the rich, actually we're trickling it down, right? We have the money, like with the government, and we bring the money and we invest, but we do it properly, right? We do it maybe by the nature of the program. We go there and we invest at the ground level so that the people down there benefit, right? Supposing the trickle down, the rich people are responsible, which unfortunately they are not, like you said, the money didn't really trickle down. But if they have seen that, hey, I want to help the people down below, like what we go there not because we have intention to help the people down below. We go there because that is the level that we are trying to build our business. So when we go there, we are actually in a way trickling our money down there in a responsible way. and therefore we are not making quick bucks. That's why we are telling people in this program we are not making quick bucks. All right, we are doing responsible business, and for that reason, if I may come back to just talk about why we must have the guarantee to protect our reputation, our integrity. Is that we so often being mistaken for people who play money games and cause problem to other people. That is something that is sort of a big burden for us, and it's going to hang on our shoulder. So so we are now saying and make it difficult for people to go out to get more people to come in. So now we are saying to them, no, we are a serious business. We are like what you say is a trickle up economy, and we are asking you to come in to bear the same responsibility as we bear to you. All right, so that you see that we are following the path that Mark is following. We're going to create that second pot of gold. And I was talking to some people that's maybe, I think Michael Tay also suggested at one time, we should be creating these two pots together, like what Mark has done. So maybe part of investment must go to that second pot of gold as a group. So instead of doing individually like Mark is doing, as a group, we also should have investment in the second pot of gold. So that when people come in, they are seeing the second pot of gold, that the money is protected there. Yeah, so we may have to develop this further to resemble so that everybody can become successful, if not in the first pot, in the second pot as what Mark has just illustrated now, that his biggest impact on him is the second pot of gold. They get all this network and able to develop his liver detox business. So it's very good to hear. He's not telling how good he's doing in the program, how many, GM direct. He's not telling anything about that. He's so happy because he's got this second pot of gold to remember to say why he's so grateful that that I recommended him the learning program. Okay, that's what I thought worth for me to pass a comment. But Mark, the talk tonight is really very revealing. It really made me think about what you have said.
Thank you, Dr. Koh. Chong, you have something to respond?
Yeah, there's a reason why I call you senior boss. All right. First of all, the one reason is because you brought me to Nanning. Okay, which I'm very, very grateful. Really. All right. From the moment in November 2017 I joined until now, I'm still grateful to you. Okay. So there's a form of my respect, right, to you. Okay. Of course, it's very endearing as well to call you senior boss. Okay. Because this is where our relationship keep being strong, right? I can call on you, you can call on me. We can also argue on certain points that we don't agree upon. So that's what we are, right? So you respect me as much as I respect you. So that's it, right? Nothing more than that, right? But the core thing about why I call you senior boss, because of you bringing me. In fact, for the rest of you who are in the talk today, Mark and I were only acquaintance, right, Mark? We met each other at a property exhibition show, okay? So we do not know each other that well. So the fact that, Mark brought me and then I joined during the very, very virgin trip when I was there is because Mark managed to spot my so-called hot button, right? So Mark, the way Mark invited me, Mark managed to pinpoint my hot button because from the conversation he had, knowing me that I travel a lot for business and whatnot, he realized that Chong is an explorer. A good prospect for me. So that's how he managed to convince me to go because he knows Chong would like to explore, right? Which is true, which worked perfectly for me, right? So to me, that was fantastic. Okay. The other thing that I wanted to highlight about, your second pot and, the network that you have, which I think all of us should really learn from you, right? Is I just want to make a point you mentioned the Kamalaya, all right, Kamalaya resort in Samui. I'm very familiar with that resort because I'm in the tourism business. So Kamalaya is like the destination for detox, the destination in Thailand, right? And guess what, everybody? Out of the so many clientele that he has of ex-Kamalaya, so-called junkie, we call them junkie, okay? Kamalaya or Chivashom junkie. A lot of them are Chinese. Guess what, everyone? Mark has already identified a few of them as his hot button prospect for Nanning. Correct, Mark? Yes. There you go. So that is something that you have to learn from Mark, everyone. So now I just want to invite the rest, right? I talked too much already. Can I have James? James, can you share your opinion, please?
Where is James? Is James here? I thought he exited already. The rest are very quiet. Right? Where is James? There's no James here. No?
Just now he was here. I think maybe he just exited. But anyway, let's Kelvin Chong.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Mark, for your sharing. This is my second time listening, but yeah, I think it's good. I always like to attend sharing sessions because we always learn new things. I like it that way because this is the type of business that you have to share, and I guess this family is strong in this sector, which I'm always attentive to. Every time this sharing, I think I learn a lot. Thanks really. And I think that's how this kind of a business should be. Yeah. Thank you. That's all, Chong.
Good. How about Johnson?
Johnson is very new to me. Have I met him before?
Oh. Johnson, if I'm not mistaken, owns a flower shop, right? Johnson, you're the florist.
Yes, Chong, you are right. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes,
he's a florist.
Right, yeah. No, I'm not a florist. Actually, my wife is the one who's running the flower shop.
Okay.
I would say I'm in the air conditioning industry. Yeah, equipment supplier. For that, I think at this point in time, I have already stopped working, involuntarily retired circumstances. Yeah. Okay. I would say the sharing from Mark, thank you very much for that. I think it's really eye-opening for me. I try to join all these things, try to understand more about this event so that I can learn more things, the facts, so that I can share with some of my prospects that I can bring into the groups, you see. So that's why I hope that through this sharing, I'm able to learn more. Mark, you're right, I'm pretty new. I came on board only not last year, I think 2019, November. Yeah, and then following that, COVID-19 set in. So all traveling stops. So nothing we can do about it. Anyway, we are still trying to identify those potential so-called members that we can bring along to the groups. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, that's all I can talk about.
Okay, nice meeting you, Johnson.
Yes, we have met before. Yes.
Really? Yeah, I can't remember.
Johnson, join us, more often. Don't worry, don't worry about, bugging us or whatever, all right? So you're more than welcome to join us face to face, or sometimes we can chat copy together, right?
Sure. Thank you so much for that. Yeah,
so by you joining us here, you can identify some of us who can